Hey everyone, we are super excited to be spreading awareness and destigmatizing mental health in the Black and Brown communities.
This podcast is a safe place for us to discuss our adversities and even our shortcomings. We all have a story.
Just remember, no matter what we go through, our story goes on. What's up everyone? We are back with Our Story Goes On. We are in episode 2. And this one it's going to be a good one. So today we're going to be discussing things or lessons that I have learned in my 20s. And the reason for that is because your girl just turned 30. And I figured it would be a good episode because I hear this a lot when people turn a new age and they're like, this is what I learned. And I don't know, I feel like me turning 30 really was one of those thought processes, if you will, like, wow, I'm actually 30 and what did I actually freaking learn in my 20s? So I actually really had to sit down and think about it and realize that I really have grown a lot. So I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. And I'm also going to have our producer Jay come on in a couple of times.
Peace. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
My right-hand man here, because we both are 92 babies.
Yeah, 92 is a great year. Some great people born in that year, man.
Right. So I was like, you know what? But before we started recording, I let him know what we were doing and stuff. So I was like, you know what? We both turned 30.
Yeah, we both turned 30.
Yeah.
Definitely a new outlook on things.
Yeah.
And it feels like I just started.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's very true.
I feel like life just actually started. So
yeah, it's like a weird coming of age, if you will. They say, I've heard that the 30s is better than your 20s.
yeah, that's what I heard.
That's what I've heard.
It's going well so far. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that's what I have heard. But wait, are you a Gemini, Jay?
No.
You're not?
But I'm surrounded by Geminis.
Wait, so you're a Taurus?
Yeah, I'm a Taurus.
You're a Taurus?
Yeah, I'm a Taurus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have guessed that you were a Gemini though. I'm not one of those like people.
Yeah,
Please don't come for me.
I am. So you know what I mean.
My mom's a Taurus though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean I love my mama, but
it's great company. Right there. Yeah, I'm a evolved Taurus though. Like you know what I mean. Like everybody always talks about Taurus in the lowest form. Like
that's true. They do.
When you speak about my Taurus, we got to talk about this in a. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is an elevated Taurus right here. Like, where's the high qualities of a Taurus? And that's honestly just the growth. But we're gonna get into all of that.
Well, you're right though. I feel that way about the signs in general. Nobody ever talks about the good things when it comes to signs.
Never.
Like never.
I never hear it.
No.
Like when you think about it, the first thing that you think about when you hear signs is like the negative from the rip.
Exactly.
From the dirt.
Yeah.
Like, the horny Scorpio.
Right. It's always the Cancers are the most sensitive. All they do is cry.
Taurus stubborn, you know what I mean? Gemini's
whole...
two-faced. Like it's like we know all the bad qualities of these signs, but like do you know that there are elevated people in this world like that work on themselves?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's funny. I actually saw this TikTok video like a week ago about a guy that was going around. I don't know, some kind of city, might have been New York. I don't remember. And he was like going up to like any woman he saw, and he was doing this as a joke to like troll people who do this. But he was like, "Oh, you know, you're so pretty. What's your sign?" And then no matter what their sign was, he goes, "Ah, never mind." And then he would just like walk away. People were like.
Yo, I just seen that this morning.
I was dying because obviously he was, no matter what sign they came up with, he was just like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah, that's the same guy that walked up to like the bartender and he'll be next to like a star and be like, "Yeah, let me get 50 cases of this. Let me get 3 cases of champagne. Let me get 30,000." And then put it on his tab.
Oh my god!
I mean? So
yeah.
That's what he does. That's his little niche. But he's funny.
Yeah, I was like dying at that because it was really funny. Because the people were like, "Wait, what are you talking about? What's wrong with me?" Like,
and I'm the last one was like, "Hold on,
yeah. It's the last one. Everybody else, most of them were just like, "What?"
Just thrown off.
Yeah,
that is funny. It's like, "What's your sign?" Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
No matter what. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, so let's get into it. So I wrote a list of the things that I've learned in my 20s.
A
So
list.
now I'm obviously not going to talk about 30 things because people will do that, like 20 things or whatever.
30 things.
30
I
things would
learned
be
by
way too
30.
much. So I'm just going to kind of go through it. So the first thing I wrote, and I feel like, let me preface it this way. I feel like I learned most of these things in my late 20s. I don't know about you, but I feel like most of it is coming from the last like 5 years of my life.
Yeah. From 25 to 30 is a very
Yeah.
trying time.
Right.
You start thinking around that time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like early 20s, I don't really think that much.
Yeah.
Like, we're just kind of living. You think, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We think we're invincible.
yeah,
Nothing's going to
but
happen.
That 25 to 30
Yeah.
is like, reality hits you pretty hard.
Very true. Very true. All right. So the
Well, let's hear
first
it.
thing, what was that?
I was saying, let's hear it. My bad.
Oh, I thought you said unless. So I was like, what? So the first thing I wrote was that you cannot control how others treat you. You can only control how you decide to respond to that treatment. So I want to preface it that as I'm not saying that you're accepting bad treatment or that you're accepting terrible people in your life, but a lot of times when people treat us a certain way, we take that on. We think it's our fault or we must be doing something wrong. And I've learned that we can't control how others are going to choose to treat you. Everybody makes their own choices, and it's really about what we can control is how we then decide to respond to that. So that's like one of the bigger things I've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah.
Because that's a lesson that you probably had to learn the hard way.
Yep. That's a good way to put it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that lesson is usually the one that's like, you don't understand it until you go through it.
Very
you know,
true.
like,
Yeah.
You hear about it. You hear people talk about. It's a lot of sayings that people have, and that. My bad. And that's one of them. That's like, you know, you kind of have to experience it to fully understand like what that means, because
Right.
it'll be people that come into your life and like they're not healed from whatever they went through, or they weren't
Yes.
raised in
Yes.
a certain way,
Absolutely.
and they have a whole bunch of like toxic traits. They're used to like responding in toxic ways or not being able to communicate.
Yep.
So people deal with a lot. Like, I deal with a lot. You know what I'm saying? But I know how to handle what I go through and channel it in a positive way.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know how to do that. So when they project that energy onto you, like, if I say, I don't know, if we're having a just say a regular conversation, something touchy, and then that person like explodes. It's like, all right, that explosion wasn't because of you. Like,
Right.
that explosion had all to do with how they felt about themselves inside. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I learned, like, I want to say a couple times. That's a lesson that I had to learn, like,
Yeah.
because it only hit me with people that I love for real. Like,
Yeah.
so
That's you're
'cause
right.
Anybody
'cause-
else, I don't really care.
Right.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So when it's the people you love, like, I had to learn that lesson like a couple times. Like, I'm just like, you know what, like, you're
Yeah.
going through something. So then you deal with it with some compassion.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and you brought up a really good point too about the way that people are raised.
Oh,
And yeah, I think that's a really big one because and there are those people that are raised a certain way or had a specific environment and they've never outgrew that. And then that's when they treat people probably like crap, or they don't realize that their actions or behaviors can directly impact another person.
Right.
So if you're going to be like disrespectful to a person and think that's okay no matter what you're saying or doing, you can't necessarily, again, going back to, it's not in your control that person's going to be that way. But it's also about understanding, like, okay, how am I going to respond to this? Am I going to stay with this person, friend, partner, family member? Because we could have a whole conversation about cutting family members off. Okay. Because, so, and I think that also plays a role in, like, because I'm still learning this, though, but people will say, oh, I'm okay if somebody has a specific narrative of me in their head. It's not my responsibility to change that. If I know that what I said was the truth, that's all I care about. I'm like, oh no, I still gotta learn with that.
Yo, I was about to say, I think that's just something that people tell themselves to cope and get past it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
but
because
it's
some things you kind of have to, like, it's like, all right, this is the finality because I've tried everything. So I kind of have to be like, you know what? This doesn't have anything to do with me. As much as I want it to be another way, it can't be.
Mm-hmm.
So, but truthfully, you're not okay with that, though. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Because it's like
I care.
I care. Right. Because like if someone's going to think that I said or did something and I know wholeheartedly that that's not what happened, then I feel like I have to prove myself. And people are like, oh no, once you learn to let go and once you learn that it's okay because you know your truth, it'll set you free.
I know I'm great. It's convincing the rest of the world. Like it's like letting the rest of the world know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and of course there's some truth to it, I guess. But I'm like, I don't know.
It is. It's like that's how you get past it.
Yeah. Right.
That's the way to get past it.
Yeah.
Just feel like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. Okay, so the second thing I wrote, well, it's actually not the second thing. I'm just kind of like going through it. But this is a big one for me. So your thoughts are not always facts. They're based on past experiences only. So I think I've learned this a lot just in my field in general because I talk to this even with my clients who have difficulties with anxiety or overthinking. And I've realized that most of the thoughts that I have that run through my head every single day are not usually facts. So they're usually based on past experiences. So especially if you're having a thought about how you look or based on really anything, but I say especially about image because if you were told for X amount of years that you were, I don't know, ugly or overweight or whatever it may be, and you keep telling yourself that, you're going to believe it. And I feel like a lot of that is based on that, is that I've struggled a lot with believing what my brain is telling me because we think, okay, well, our brain is here to help us, right? Our brain is here to be our friend, but in reality, it like almost rarely is.
Word.
Right?
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. For real. Because you can trick yourself into like believing things. So, but that goes into like a whole other
thing.
combo. Like, but yes, you have to be cognizant of what you tell yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Of what you tell yourself, of what you allow other people to tell you, and then to believe it in a sense too.
Yes. Yes, and what you accept.
Mm-hmm.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like you don't have to accept like a brain hack real fast. Like so if somebody is like projecting a whole bunch of stuff onto you, you don't want to mess the vibe up. Like just say it in your head. Be like I don't accept that. Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's a good way to put it.
Like that's protecting your energy before you let like people drain you of your energy. Because I had a couple conversations within this past week. Yeah, it's been like in this past week, I kind of been getting beat up because it's been like just a lot of people coming to me with their problems. Yeah, and then those conversations branch off into other conversations, and then it's like, all right, you have to actively protect your energy.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there in those conversations, like as a person that's empathetic, I like have to like in my brain like block. Yeah. I have to block the sorrow like that's coming. I have to block certain emotions or certain things that you're saying. I have to block it because it'll affect me, and then it'll last like for some time. You know what I mean? Until I realize like, oh, this wasn't even my thought; it's your thought. You know
right,
what I mean?
Exactly, right. That was your thought.
Yeah,
exactly.
It wasn't mine,
for real.
it was yours, like,
yeah. And I think especially, and I say this because like when I mentioned like the last few years of my 20s, and I've talked about this in the last season as well, I was in a pretty bad relationship in my early 20s and before I met my husband, and this person, I don't even want to like give it the energy, but I just want to like give an example of like how this person convinced me of a specific thing was wrong with me, and it kind of went that way for a while. And I had to tell myself like kind of what you just said, that's not my thought, that's yours.
That's your thought.
Right. And then also learning that like as I went on, I'm kind of like my brain was still in the past. Like even in present time, my brain almost felt like it was still back in that kind of time where I was being told I was this because of that one person.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if that like makes sense because I don't want to like go too deep into
without
it.
Without going too deep, I understand the surface of what you're
right.
What
And so it's
about.
kind of just like, you know what? No, I have to get myself out of that because my brain is just telling me that right now because I was being told it for so long. And my brain was like, this person must be right? Because you're hearing about it X amount of times or whatever.
Care about.
Right, exactly.
Like, it's coming from somebody that I care about. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that you already broke past a lot of barriers that a lot of people don't have access to.
Yeah,
and
very
then
true.
After doing that, this is what you implant here.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you,
right,
bro?
Right. Yes, so that's a big thing. And I try to tell my clients that too. You know, your thoughts are not always facts and everything. Yeah, and hopefully it helps a little bit.
Yeah. And to add on to that just a little bit, like, yes, your thoughts aren't always facts because I feel like I'm gonna just speak for myself. Sometimes, like, I think the world revolves around me. I'm sorry, like,
no.
Like that's
that
just
is
one of my things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's Gemini. I'm just kidding. I mean not that's Taurus behavior. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, it is like, you know what I'm saying.
No,
you know
I'm kidding. I'm
like,
kidding.
Tauruses are like selfish, but my thing is,
no, my mom
like,
is not selfish. So.
I just think people are like I'm the center of my universe, like not the sun.
No,
I am the son of my mother. Like, so I'm not even going all the way to the philosophies, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm the like center of, you know what I'm saying, my world. Like,
but yeah, but that's I don't know if you remember
you
when
have to be, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't remember if you when we had Adonis here, and I actually made a reel about this like last week or something on our Instagram page, and it was when he was describing that exactly. Like he was basically saying most of us feel like everything and everyone does is because of us, like because we feel like, yes, we are the center of the universe. And it's not meaning to be like, oh, I'm selfish or I'm conceited, my way or the highway. I just think as individuals, that's how we all lead our lives. We think for ourselves in a sense,
right?
You know what I mean? Like
all the interactions that you have, all the places that you've been, no one else could no one else can know you like you know you. Mm-hmm. Nobody else could appreciate you. Nobody else should appreciate you more than you appreciate yourself.
Very true.
So, so speaking on, just touching on the selfish aspect of it, like being selfish is necessary to a degree. Being
a degree, yeah.
Too far right or too far left. So being too selfless, you're down in the depths.
Right.
Being too selfish, you'll probably end up lonely either way.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So just like having that balance between selflessness and understanding that, like Sonder, I don't know if you know, like Sonder is the realization that, that everyone that you see has their own world, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, know what I'm saying?
No, that makes sense though.
And having a realization of that.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
So that's the selflessness in it. Being aware of that, like, that you're not the center of their world.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's cool to be the center of yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, I do. And I think that, again, and I think that comes back also to understanding, like, people cope by projecting, right? Because if whatever we're going through, a lot of people tend to put that on other people. Yeah. You know, and that could be both positive or negative. Like, have you ever like seen when a person's like super happy,
right?
They'll put that on other people too, right?
Yeah.
And then that sometimes is not always a good thing for people who might be down in the dumps. Like, you know, they might be like, F you have this perfect life. Yeah. But in general, like, that's just how we all
a too happy person. Yo, and it's crazy. How toxic are we? How,
That we
like,
can't
I'm just
deal
talking
with-
about as a people, like
Right.
that somebody that's like walking around in like total bliss,
Right.
like happiness annoys you.
Right.
Like I'm like, yeah, but you
That is
ever
really
you
true,
ever
though.
met somebody that was just like happy as heck
Like, all the time.
all the time? And it's like, yo, there's no way you're really like this.
Right.
It has to be something deeper and darker about you, bro. Like, there's no
Right,
way.
right.
But that's funny. As
Yeah,
hell,
but it's true though. Like people are like, because
like,
we
kinda
always
annoying.
it's because it goes always down to like
That's crazy.
grass is always greener, or the grass isn't always greener, but we always see like other people's lives or something, and then we kind of like wish or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah, maybe that's where it's rooted from. Like maybe you wish you could.
Oh, I think so,
experience this happiness
absolutely.
all the time.
oh
like,
yeah, I mean I think at least that's where I think it comes from people. I think that there are a lot of people out there who like hate in a sense because that's what they want. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if they do want it, then that's how they're projecting it onto other people, and they might come across as rude or disrespectful. Like, I feel like that's like one of the things that my mom taught me, my sisters, like, or not, like my parents like taught us, is that like sometimes people are going to treat me and my sisters a certain way based on like specific things, let's say, right? Like, and then we had to like kind of, I mean, I learned that after high school that my sister and I were kind of bullied in high school. And bullied, I say in a way, because like the moment that we walked in that school, girls were giving us issues. Like the moment. And we were like these innocent people. And then as the years went on, I didn't become like I was like kind of defending myself, so I was like seen as a problem. But in reality I was just defending myself from like those kind of people. But what I was saying was that I think it's about understanding that some people are going to treat you a certain way because of their own issues. Back to the number one thing I learned in my 20s.
Yeah, you can definitely, and I think a big point of reflection that I also had was something like, I think I just forgot, but was just people, right, treating you a certain way, and I think we already touched it. That's why I kind of just paused for a fact.
Right.
Like just people treating you a certain way. It's just like, bro, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. And you're a twin, right?
I am a twin. Yeah, I have a twin sister and a younger sister.
And so you think that was like a reason type?
I think so. I really do, because we went to.
It's like, oh, not two of y'all like
Right.
could take our men.
Right.
Like,
Jay, seriously though, no, that's really what happened. Like they
tired
were
of both of y'all already.
right. Like we, because where we grew up too, like we went to. I'm being serious though. Like this is
right.
like
People were
where
crazy.
we went to middle school and elementary school. It was a tiny, tiny town, and I graduated with like 45 people in my 8th grade class.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we all were friends. We all knew each other. We all grew up together, and then boom, we went to this high school where there was 420 people in my graduating class. Right. So, we went into a bigger high school, and there was people I've never met in my, because all these people that were in the 9th grade, they all basically kind of already knew each other because they all grew up in the same elementary school, middle school. But our little town had to like join in with them in 9th through 12th grade, and. Yeah, it was just like one of those things that like my sister and I just dealt with it. People would walk up to us random, like, we heard that you were talking to my man. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, who? What? Like, for real, we really had to deal with that. And I'm just like, I'm like 14 years old. Like,
you're like, chill out.
What? I'm like, I don't. So, yeah, but I think that was definitely a thing, is that we were twins, and we were, I think, like the only. No, there was like maybe 2 other sets of twins, but they were, I don't know. I guess we were just targeted. Probably because we had really big hair. Like, we didn't know how to tame our curls yet. So we stood out or something. I don't know. It was definitely weird though.
All right, look, I remember my thought.
Okay.
All right, so another thing that I learned in my 20s, or one thing that I learned, is that you can't make people want more for themselves.
Yes, that's a good one. I don't have that one on my list.
Yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way.
That's a good one.
I learned it the hard way because like you'll put like an undying effort, or I'm speaking on myself. Like when I care about somebody, I care. I'm not like this is not a word that I use if I don't care about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know people throw around words loosely. I'll use words for what they mean. You know what I mean? So So when I care and love for somebody, like, and you genuinely want more for that person, and no matter what you say or do, if they don't want to do it, there's nothing that you can do.
So
like,
true, man.
You can't make them want better, even though you know this is better. I know that you want. I guess in your brain you would. I don't know. Like, you see how, like, I'm still, like, kind of short circuiting.
Right.
Like, because I still don't really understand how somebody, like, you can't make somebody want better. Like, some people are just okay where they're at.
Very true. Now, do you find that to be the same thing though? With you can't make a person change. Is that like the same thing for you?
It's in the same, like, category, but then it's the subcategories. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, it is like, you can't make people change as far as, like, I mean, who they are. But this is like something, I guess, that's like outside. I'm maybe speaking more of something that's outside of a person.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Know what I mean? It's like your situation, like, kind of change, like, your environment, your friends. It's like, you keep hanging with the same people, getting the same results. It's like, it's insanity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you could say that to a person. You can be like, you can cut your grass more, like, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's up with the da-da-da? Like, hey, I got these real estate classes that I bought from online. Like, come to the studio with me, and we could watch it and then take some notes, and then, you know what I mean, start saving up. Like, you can't make people want more. Like, if they don't want to do, and it's not even doing what, like, I want to do. It's more like, these are things that I hear
that could be better.
Yeah, it's like, it's better than sitting at a job that you don't like.
Right.
Don't, you know what I mean? Like, you try to, like, this is freedom. You want freedom, right?
Yeah.
Like, so why don't you
do
move
it?
for
Yeah.
it? But
that's true. That's a good one, actually. I didn't really think about it, but that is a really good one, because you're right. Like, you can't
be so confused. Like, I still short circuit to this day.
Because
like,
you're looking at it like, why wouldn't you want to do that? It's good for you. It's better for you. But people are comfortable.
Like, that's
people
like
are super
slavery.
comfortable.
Some people stayed on the plantation because they were comfortable, and the other people was like, "It's no way in hell that I'm staying here, bro."
Right. But that also comes with your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that could that could relate to, like, relationships, right? Like, how many times have we, like, told friends, that doesn't seem right. That seems like a red flag. With anything, relationships, work,
Everything,
anything,
right.
and it's like, and then they're like, nope, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna stay where I'm at, and
they're cool with it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
But that goes even when we were talking about the toxic relationships before, and like some people's ideal of love is intertwined with chaos. So if there's not chaos going on, they don't feel like that's actually love. They feel like, if he lays his hands on me, he actually loves me. Or if he don't curse me out, like, at the top of his lungs, like, he doesn't love me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure, you're right. People feed off chaos.
That's all
definitely
weird.
And it's a little weird, but and I think, like, again, goes back to how people are raised. Comfort zone, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's a wild comfort zone to be in. So for somebody to be or to feel comforted in that, knowing that he'll beat my motherfucker.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I can curse on that.
You totally can. No, but you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Like, how are you comfortable in the fact, like, knowing, like, all right, that's what you think like constitutes love. So like, it ain't gonna be no love unless you get your ass beat. Like,
right.
That's crazy.
Or like for people who are, like, constantly disrespecting you. But same thing, right? Whether it's like a physical thing, an emotional thing, all that too. So yeah. All right, let's move on to what's another one. Because I want to maybe go to, like, I know we've been talking about, like, people a lot in a sense, but this one is something I've, like, had to learn a lot. Where did I just had it in my head. Oh, no matter what you do for a person, you cannot find you in other people. So,
explain.
what was that?
Explain a little bit
So,
further.
what I mean by that is if you do something for a person, if you treat a person a certain
Oh,
way,
okay.
and this is
Yep.
all positive, and then you were expecting the same thing back from them, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to happen. So it's really hard to grasp that sometimes, but you really stop searching for you in other
And
people.
other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big
That's
one.
another hard lesson.
For sure. Damn, my 20s was rough. No.
For real, like, all these hard lessons. Like,
Right.
Nah, for real, because yes, like the way that I am, right? I'm talking about myself again.
You're totally
Shout
fine.
out to me being a tourist. But the way that I am, I always try to like inspire people, push people, you know what I mean? Give people a whole bunch of like positive energy because that's what I want back. But that's not why I do it because that's just who I am. Like,
But that's how you show your love and
but
appreciation.
that's how I show my love. You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
like, it's like, all right, boom, like it's gonna be reciprocated. So if I feel the love from you, it's like, bro, you'll get a gold mine of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when that love ain't reciprocated, and it's not like in a way, it's like I don't know. I don't even know how to say this right now. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to say when it's not reciprocated because I'm not doing it for a reason. But if there was ever anything that came up to where you feel like, all right, bro, I done showed you like mountains and mountains of love, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and this one thing is not even like it's not even you doing something for me. It could be you even like mentioning me in a meeting, like, yo, you know I produce, you know I do this, and it's not like I have like bad work. It's like professional quality too. Like, not the best. I'm not the best in the world, but I'm not like at the bottom either.
Yeah,
you know What I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had a meeting with these people, let's just say at like BET or something, like, and you didn't like bring me up, or not necessarily say you expect that, but like say if they ask you like, oh yeah, who do you know that do such and such, and you brought up like your cousin or you know what I mean? It's like, oh, like.
But and you're saying that because you would do it for them.
Because, yes, I would do that for you. Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm talking about the specifics that I have in my mind. Like, I would absolutely do it for you. Like, I wouldn't even think of going and doing that and not having you in the picture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I hold you in that. But you got to realize that he might just be there in his selfish mode, like, which is not a negative. Like, selfish is not a curse word. I feel like we always like,
even though people treat it that way,
always negative.
Yeah.
So, but he could just be there on some selfish and like, bro, this is your shot. You know what I'm saying? You look at it as your shot, your opportunity. What you did, it was like, oh, all right, you didn't think about team. You know what I mean? You thought about you, which is, like I said, which is not something I could hold you. I'm not mad, but it's just like I'm looking for myself and you. It's like, oh, the team, like, yo, you know how much great people I know?
Right.
You know the greatness?
Yeah.
You know the wave that we can bring? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I always think team first. And when, like I said, people have certain opportunities to do that, I'll be like, yo, like you chose yourself over, like, a situation that you could have bought team in.
Yeah, no, I mean,
after you were given all the resources of team to get to this point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where it's like, but I had to stop.
Well, no, because and I think it's because we all look for that in other people. I mean, and it could be coming, like you mentioned, like a business perspective. It could just be, and I think too, especially in relationships and friendships, of course. I mean, like relationship as a whole. And I think for friendships, it gets to be a little bit more difficult because I feel like with friends, we feel like they're there for life. And so are partners, hopefully. I mean, depending if you're married or not. But like, I feel like with friends, we find friends to be a little bit more, I feel like we hold on to friends more because we're like, okay, well, we don't want to be alone. We want to be able to go out. We want to be able to socialize. And if I don't have friends, I can't do that kind of thing. So, but I think a lot of times, like you do certain things with people and you're just kind of like expecting the same back. And that kind of goes back to like love languages in a sense, going back to relationships. I've realized that we usually love our partner with our love language.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like my love language is words of affirmation. Typical. Typical Cancer. But so I do that a lot with my husband. Like I try to affirm him all the time. And I probably don't do it as much as I probably should. But I realize that when I want to show him a lot of love, that's what I'm doing. Like and physical touch too. Like I'll let him know certain things. And then I'm like waiting for it sometimes, like looking at him like, are you going to say it back? Or something like that, you know? And it's like, again, like that's just an example of trying to find me and somebody else when he loves me so differently. Like you know what I mean? Even though words of affirmation is like top 2 for him, I think. His first one is annoying. But he's also a person that does also love, like, you know, I could see it when I say that kind of stuff to him. But yeah.
So your love languages speak to each other well.
In a little, yeah. And like because my mom and my sisters will say that his love language is acts of service, because he always goes above and beyond whenever people come over. And I was like, yeah, but that's not how he is every day.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, like I think he shows that love to like other people. Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, and I love that about him, because I never have to worry when people come over, because he handles everything. But like when it's just us, it's different. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So now I have a song called "Selfish Love." You feel me? Right. So with selfish love, it's a crazy concept because. Wow, the selfish word again. Selfish love is nuts when you think about it. Like the concept of loving somebody with your love language, and you can have the greatest intention in the world, right? But I'm loving you from my love language.
Exactly.
It's not yours, right?
Yes, exactly.
So if I don't love you, if I'm not speaking your language of love, I'm giving you a selfish love.
Yep.
You know what I'm
saying?
No,
I love it. That's so, because it's so true. And that's what I meant. Like we all do that. We all like, because that's what we're looking for back.
So are you saying that we all love selfishly?
I feel like you have to grow into realizing that it's not just you in the relationship. Right. Because like I said, we all do certain things because we want it back. I think. Like, I feel like that's just how we are as humans. That's a concept
that we might have to dive in. We might have to dive
a whole other episode.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, like I feel like deep down, like yes and no. Because I think it takes a lot for a person to come out of that and think, how does my partner need me right now? What can I do for them, even if I'm uncomfortable with it? Because there are people, right? I mean, I see videos about it all the time, just staying on the love language topic of when people don't, like, their physical touch is like their 5th love language. They hate being touched, right? But then they meet somebody that has their number 1, like, physical touch is there. So, like, you see these videos of, like, really funny where people are, like, just touching them with, like, a pinky and then, like, you know, like, coming back really quick because they're, like, they just get so uncomfortable. So it's like, imagine that kind of dynamic, and that other person has to realize, like, even though I want to cuddle, even though I want to kiss, even though I want to hug, my partner doesn't necessarily like that, and it's nothing to do with me. It's just because he or she's uncomfortable with it, and I have to step away from it.
Yeah, I was about to say he or she can't be around me. For
but
real.
Like, you know what I mean? I know, but so that's something that like you may have to kind of deal with. Like if you know, like, hey, and you're right, there's like, I don't know if I could ever be with someone that
probably
can't. And that's something you have to learn.
To be higher on your list.
Right. And it has to, so their like boundaries are in the last episode, right? Like understanding like, hey, this is just not what I'm comfortable with. I do need to be touched. Right. And there are people who are like that.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. All right. So how in your 20s did you find how to attain levels of peace or joy?
How do you know I'm in peace, Jay? No.
Hey, maybe you still working on it.
No.
You know? But
yeah, no. I mean,
what are some things? Okay, what were some things that you learned in your 20s to attain, let's just say, a peaceful state of mind? Because you're too retrospective and you're pretty calm. So for you to be calm, you have to have some peace.
I mean,
maybe.
I mean, yes. Well, calm in a sense of like, what do you mean by calm though?
You're pretty composed and like together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Everybody says that. They're like, oh, you have it so, like, even my clients will
you
say
have
that.
a
I'm
very
like,
peaceful.
but you don't know what's going on in my brain. No, I'm
Right.
kidding.
But the energy
But I
that
mean,
you
I
give
do
off
have,
is peaceful.
yeah, I mean, I do have anxiety. So for me, it's like a little bit, I think I just learning how to manage it. But
So how did you learn how to manage that to attain
Mm-hmm.
more quietness? Maybe.
for me personally, it has to be gratitude. Like, I am super grateful to be alive, right? And that might stem from having a really big fear of death. You know, like I'm super scared to die. Like people will look at me like crazy when I say that, but I am so scared to die.
Majority of people are.
Right. My husband isn't. Like he'll be like, no. I'm like, okay, wait, like until you're there.
Yeah, I was about I don't know. I can't say because I don't know him either way to believe, but I think I'm leaning towards Cap just a little bit,
Right.
Because who like
Yeah, so I feel like I carry my life with a lot of gratitude, and I think that's where I'm able to find a lot of my own peace because when I'm practicing gratitude, I'm able to feel less anxious and more at peace. So I try my very best to practice gratitude every morning, and whether I'm writing it down in my journal or I'm saying it out loud, like 3 things that I'm grateful for today in this moment right now because a lot of people when they practice gratitude they're usually saying it like I'm grateful for my family, friends, and my house, you know, like, and those are just like the bare minimum,
right.
you know. And I try to be very specific, like I'm very grateful for my coffee this morning.
Right. Get
Like,
down.
yeah, I'm grateful that I was able to buy this coffee for myself and make it myself, you know. I'm very grateful for my car for taking me to work today. I'm very grateful that anything.
Shoot,
So
that
for
my
me,
grass is green,
right.
and it looks beautiful when I walk out my house. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. So things like that, I think. So I think that's what's helped me a lot. And also, honestly, like cutting people off out of my life that just are no longer.
Yeah, no, definitely.
No, like no
so
longer.
pull out the scissors.
Right. Like that, like cutting people out of my life that are just no longer suiting me. So I think
didn't
that's
bring you that peace.
yeah, that didn't and I'm even currently struggling that like that right now with someone that I'm just like I'm just too old to chase people.
Right. I got some scissors in the other room if you need them. Just let me know.
Like I'm just too old to deal with people who aren't just going to give me the same energy. And not going back to like again what we're talking about with you know, finding me and other people, but bare minimum stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like reaching out to me.
Right.
Bare minimum things that I'm just like no longer going to chase anymore. And you know what? And I think a lot of it comes from a place of like, oh, I have to keep going though because you know, there's been X amount of years of friendship, and it's just like, you know, at the end of the day though, like is it a friendship though if it has to be constant chasing or constant one way in a sense? Friendship is a two-way street.
Yeah.
It ain't no one way.
I've had a friend for like it's one of my best friends, and he's the king of disappearing. Like for real, this dude is a magician. Like, and I'm not even gonna say like, but he just disappears for different reasons. No, for it's the same reason. He gets in a relationship and disappears.
Oh my goodness,
You know what I mean?
that kind of person.
So I guess it's like, I guess you're putting your all into like, yeah, I'm sure your woman loves that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it'll be like months and we don't hear from you. You know what I'm saying? Like months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's really not cool.
Yeah.
Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean
to like say, you know what I mean? Just
right.
like leave you where you're at type shit.
Yeah. Okay, so the last point that I would like to bring up today from the things I've learned in my 20s is hold on, I have it written specifically. Things always work out the way that they're supposed to. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I know this is a very difficult statement to say because a lot of people will argue that where they are right now maybe sucks or it's depressing, it's sad. And I totally get that. I'm not saying it as a way of like everything happens for a reason because I feel like the way this year is already going in the world. So I don't want to say everything happens for a reason, but I want to say it as like you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, on that grand scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all right. So
like,
go ahead.
Sorry, so I just want like the way I say that is like a lot of people sometimes situations happen in their life and they're like, oh, why me? And I'm not talking about like dire situations. Like if you just lost a loved one, like F all that. You know, I couldn't imagine if I, you know, had lost someone super close to me and somebody came up to me and said, this was supposed to happen.
This is God's will.
Yeah,
I hate
right.
that.
Like it's just like, okay, like that, I feel like, I don't even know. Like one of my friends has said it that way, that she lost her godmother, and such a strong thing for her to say. She said, and I'm, you know, this is her thought process, but she said that God put her through this because there's probably going to be another death in her life that's going to be even more difficult. So she needs to learn how to deal with it. I was like, damn. Yeah.
I think that's just
because she's older than I am. Yeah. So she's just like, you know, I'm trying to look at it as like God has a plan, and saying that like, I think that because her mom, because she's in her 40s, so she's a bit older than I. So she's like, my mom is eventually going to go too. Right. And he's preparing me for that. And I'm like, well,
yeah, I think that was, if
you look at it like that.
I don't know if that was God. I think that's more of her own inclination. Like her own, like saying, all right, I'm going to use this to help me deal with.
Yeah. And some people are like that. Like, and, you know what I mean? And that's how some people, and
don't
for
put
me.
Put that on God.
But I do feel though that comes like from a really strong point though. I'm like, wow, for you to actually look at it like that though, and not maybe, you know, maybe not scream at the world or get angry. She's just like, no, it's gonna be okay. I'm like, wow, like that's faith right there. Which I like, if I lost like my sister or something,
Yeah, I know.
You know, so so what I mean by that is that maybe smaller things that happen in your life, or when things feel very stressful and you feel like this is it, there's no way out, trust that everything will always work out the way that they're supposed to.
Everything is working in your favor.
In your favor, yes.
Like the universe is conspiring. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
it's making up its own little plan.
Everything for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So everything, in the grand scheme of everything, it's all good. Everything is everything. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And I feel like, I don't know if those are just quotes that we're using to, like I said, cope with
right.
everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like blowing the point up a little bit. But like, but yes, that is an ideology that I use to go forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and you're right. It's like a quote kind of thing, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like,
and if you connect the dots, it starts to make sense.
It does. Yeah, it really, I mean, I always feel like there's always something that's going on that I feel is happening, because like, I remember, for an example, when my husband and I were looking at houses, one of the ones that we looked at, we absolutely loved. Like, it was a townhouse and it was so perfect. Like, it was great. We put an offer in. They took our offer. Then they found out that our loan wasn't accepted at that complex, and we were like so disappointed. And I was like, maybe it's just not meant to be. You know, maybe we're supposed to be in a different house.
Right.
And even though that was super disappointing, you know, I still remember what the house looks like to this day. You know, it was great, and it was bigger than the house that we live in now. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, maybe we need to be humbled.
Right.
Or something. I don't know. Or anything. You know, so.
Yeah, stuff like that. Speaking on things and more of that nature, I do feel like there's a lot of like timing things that's like, if this happened earlier, I don't know how it would have turned out. You know? Like, it was like, all right, so retrospectively, I dealt with this, and this. And it actually did prepare me for this situation. So to be more specific, it's like, all right, I had a studio in my mom's basement, and then I had another, and these are all home studios, but I was building them in everybody else's house. So my boy Kyle, I built one in his mom's attic, you know, and then I went and then I had a podcast and I bought a whole bunch of equipment there and I'm helping him build another studio in his basement. And then it's like, yo, like, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so, but that led to me actually having my own space because if I actually had it before, I don't think I would have been ready to run it as a business, you know?
Yeah. There you
all
go.
of that experience kind of prepared me for this. So even though sometimes I hated where I was at, I hated where, you know, but ultimately it was all perfect.
Yeah, it all led to where you are now.
Yeah. So everything is like perfect.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's a good way to look at it. And look at the studio now.
Yeah. Hey,
absolutely. So yeah, so those are just a few things that I learned in my 20s. I feel like we can go on forever, but we're not going to. So I just hope this does touch on some people's experiences, whether you're my age, in your 20s, younger. I just hope it, resonates with somebody and everything. So, all right.
Be great. Make sure you drink water and get some sun.
Yes, that's true. Skincare is also super important in your 20s.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yes.
Yeah, man. And slow down now.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
For
slow
sure.
down, man.
Yeah.
I know living fast in your 20s, that's another thing. And that's my last thing on
that's
the,
actually
on the
a
way
really
out.
good one, too.
It's like, slow down.
Yeah, because people feel they have to accomplish everything in their 20s, and you definitely don't need to.
Slow down. Live life and love it.
Exactly. You know? Very true. All right. Well, great conversation, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you know the vibes. I'm here to help.
Yes, of course. So we will be back next week with episode 3, and I hope everyone has a great week. Take care.